provide with? Guidance? What about stability? What? Protection? Safety? Insurance? Sometimes. Do you agree with James Madison? Does that make sense? Are these governments necessary? Could we live in what's called a state of nature?
No,
It sounds like a good idea, but why can't we be totally free? Why do we
because
need
people will shoot each other, kill each other, do all illegal things.
Yeah, because maybe you won't shoot anybody, but the guy next to you really likes how your husband or wife looks, so he can shoot you, and if there's no rules, it's survival of the fittest, right? So therefore, we need these pesky laws. Yeah, a lot of courage, if that makes sense. All right, we have 2 activities to do today. One is going to be our guided practice and then our independent practice.
Can we do the scavenger hunt again?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the Bill of Rights, the way that we determine what these mean, so we know we have freedom of speech, but what does that mean when we apply it, okay? We know what that means by Supreme Court cases, by actual events, people who have said something maybe they shouldn't have said, and it's been challenged in court. So what you're gonna do in groups of 2 to 3, you have 6 cases. These are very famous cases. I want you to find for each one, the year, the amendment number, a 2 to 3 sentence summary, for each case. And then below that, how you think the court should have ruled on it, and who the court actually agreed with, and also the vote, okay? So there's 9 Supreme Court justices. So if it was a 5 in favor and 4 against, it would be a 5-4 vote. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who would like to pass these on? Okay, and for part 2 of this assignment, you'll notice there's a QR code and also a web link. So if you can't scan the QR code, your phone won't connect for service. There is also the web link to find the information for these cases listed, okay? On the back, the final portion of this project, we have extra research, okay? Not so much it's the same thing. I just want you to find any 2 additional cases you think are interesting, and then you're gonna record the same information. So if you open up a search tab and you put in Supreme Court cases, like search, there's been a whole long list of some of the most famous cases. One that I don't have listed yet, for example, Korematsu versus United States. That was the 1941 ruling that allowed the government to put Japanese Americans into internment camps, okay? So they were forcibly put into camps during the war. Are there any questions? So in groups of 2 or 3, and complete all 4 pages. And I'm going to get someone on this end. To go that way. And while they're being passed around, the Supreme Court, what does the Supreme Court do? What? The job of the Supreme Court. They judge cases. What are they judging it for? Well, the laws, but what's the supreme law? What's the name of that document? The Constitution. They're judging whether it is constitutional or not. Exactly, and that is all the Supreme Court does. They're not looking at the morals of the case, the right or wrong of the case, the circumstances around it. They are looking at the law and is it constitutional or not. When you look at Miranda v. Arizona, that is the case that gave us the phrase, you have the right to remain silent. Everybody's heard that, at least on TV. I hope not in person. they say that is because of a pretty bad guy. This guy, Miranda, was his last name, okay? And this guy had been accused of kidnapping and burglary and rape, and more than likely he was guilty of all of that. Very long criminal record. So I'm talking about he's not exactly a good person, but he also could barely read and write. He had a 3rd grade education. He had no idea what the Bill of Rights was. He didn't know what anything was related to his rights. Now, he was interrogated for hours after he was arrested, and he signed a voluntary confession. Afterwards, however, it was challenged in court, and it made it all the way to the Supreme Court that says, as an American citizen, as lowly as this guy was, did he have rights if he didn't know about them? Did he have rights? I mean, yeah, he still had them. He could have looked it up or he could have asked somebody, but he didn't. So did he really have those rights? He just didn't use them, but what if he didn't know about them?